names are mixed up. Right, it says Robbie where you're sitting, and it says Rachel right there. It doesn't matter.
Rachel's sitting in.
Yeah, whenever we start the next one, just obviously they know you're not Robbie, but just for
Okay, we'll go ahead and convene as the Regional Planning Commission. We'll have the invocation by Reverend Gray and the Pledge of Allegiance by myself.
O Lord, our Lord, how excellent is your name in all of the earth. We thank you, O God, for the blessed privilege of life. Thank you, Father, for your grace and your mercy that have yet again looked beyond our faults and continue to see and supply every one of our needs. We ask, Lord, now as we convene tonight, and that you allow us to be graced with your presence. We ask, Lord, tonight, Father, that you would allow every decision we make to be that of the Spirit and not of the flesh. Allow us tonight, O God, to make decisions to the betterment of our community and to our neighbors. We ask, Lord, that you'll bless every person that is in this place tonight, O Lord, and that you'll allow them to leave with clarity and with understanding. We thank you, God, for the blessed privilege to serve, and we ask, Lord, that you continue to lead us and guide us in the way that we should go. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mr. Burgard?
here.
Miss Allender? Here. Mr. Falk? Reverend Gray?
Here.
Mr. Liner? Mr. Rogers?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Soudier?
Here.
Mr. Thibodeau?
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Acceptance of minutes, Houma Terrebonne Regional Planning Commission minutes for the regular meeting of June 16th, 2022.
I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. Thibodeau,
Second.
second by Mr. Burgard. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Ellender? Oh, sorry about that. Conflict disclosure. Remind the commissioners that if any time tonight a conflict of interest exists, arises, or is recognized as to any issue during this meeting, he or she should immediately disclose it and is to recuse himself or herself from participating in the debate, discussion, and voting on the matter. Does any member have anything to disclose at this time? Seeing none, thank you. Ms. Ellender?
I move that we approve remittance of payment for the July 21st, 2022 invoices and the treasurer's report for June 2022.
Second.
Second. We have a motion by Ms. Ellender, second by Mr. Thibodeau. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Communications?
I have one pertains to item H6 on the agenda. Please allow this email to serve as our request to table the Thibodeau South project until the August 18th meeting. Per our previous discussions, we'll have the notification signage installed no less than 10 days prior to the August 18th meeting. Our plan is to have it installed on or just before August 5th. We'll send you a picture of the sign once it's installed for confirmation. Thanks, and please call with any questions. Heather Klingman.
Okay, thank you. Item G, old business. Motion.
I move that we take old business off the table.
I have a motion by Ms. Ellender to take old business off the table, second by Reverend Gray. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item G1A, New Isle Phase 1, Process C, Major Subdivision Final, 2170 West Main Street, Gray, Terrebonne Parish, Council District 2 and 4, Shreveport Fire District, Louisiana Land Trust. Engineers, CSRS Incorporated.
Good afternoon.
I need you.
James Anderman, CSRS, 8555 United Plaza, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 70809. I'm also here with Louisiana Land Trust Executive Director Mike Taylor and Jonathan Rouge, Nick Bogan with CSRS, and Tim Notcan with Byron Talbot Contractors. The new aisle, just as a quick overview, 508 acres, that's in Schriever along Highway 24. It was a federally funded project through the state of Louisiana through the Obama administration. The funds were given after a resiliency competition in 2015, and it's the voluntary resettlement program for the Ile-de-Jean-Charles community. Originally, we came to you guys in May. We had just a few items on the punch list. So we're back to you today. We're proud to report that majority of those items have been addressed. Items just to touch on before we read the letter into record. The streetlights, we are actively receiving pricing on the streetlights. Material shortage has definitely caused an impact for that schedule. Additional striping for safety. We're getting prices from Byron Talbot to address the safety and adding more striping on the roads. Pollution control. I'm excited to say that all of the major items for the sewer that operates regarding health and safety for the homes that were built and the residents that we're trying to move in short order have been addressed. Clearly, minor things are still going to be handled with Byron Talbot. Permanent power at the lift station 2, so that's the one next to the Schriever building. We are actively working with Entergy. We are waiting for a switchgear and for a transformer that's expected to come at the end of August, beginning of September. So we are still working with them to get that there, but temporary power with generators are on site and the lift station is working properly. And all other minor items that were brought to our attention in today's letter have been discussed with Byron Talbot, and we are coming up with a game plan to address those as quick as possible. So today, we come to you for asking for conditional approval on this matter.
Final inspection for New Isle Phase 1 was held by representatives of the Department of Public Works. The following punch list items remain and need to be addressed. Lights are not installed. Approval from DOTD for the modifications done to the catch basin at the turn lane. Concrete debris needs to be removed from the lot across from the future community center. Dirt piles need to be removed from the turnarounds. Sidewalk at the intersection of Pelican Lane and Jean Charles Boulevard is missing the pedestrian warning plate. Striping needs to be placed to differentiate the roadway from the shoulder. A 2-year warranty will be required for the roadway. Drainage culvert Y24 is damaged under road panel. Item will be re-inspected at the 1-year warranty. And culvert Z25A has a deviation and will be re-inspected at the 1-year warranty. Pollution control. Multiple sags have been noted and need to be corrected. For the lift stations, level transducer must be installed, must have utility power, energy 3-phase. SCADA antenna and tower must be installed. Fence double gates and walk-through gate must be installed. Address sign must be installed. Concrete slab is cracked. Pump serial tags. Pump station pump needs to be retested to validate the 1-year warranty. For lift station 2, replacement of the lift station wet well hatch must be installed properly. Ensure the warranty is valid on the lift station control panels after they got wet from a hydrant hose. Grade the area around lift station 2 must have the flow of storm water away from the lift station. There is washout of dirt around the concrete slab. Pump manual, SCADA, and panel diagrams and specs required. The A side, which was re-inspected on July 8th, all manholes must be grouted and epoxied. A11, A7, and A1 must have concrete around its isolation pad. All gravity mains need to be cleared and free of mud and debris. The pipe from manhole A1 to the lift station at 190 feet to 223 feet needs to be corrected to the proper grade. B side lines need to be cleaned. They have mud in them from the leaks that were repaired. Manhole B5 grade needs to be corrected. Manhole B1 to manhole A1 was unable to be inspected and videoed because water is backed up. As-built drawings need to be provided to pollution control. All pipes and manholes need to be corrected to grade. There was a inspection completed by pollution control today. It just didn't make it to me in time to make the list, but some of the stuff on side A has been further corrected since this letter.
I
Mr.
think the
Pulaski.
light's already on. I just wanted to also add to this, the building permit office continues to conduct final inspections on the first group of homes, and aside from the outstanding utility items on the engineering punch list, the homes should receive approval, and certificate of occupancies would be issued once the critical health and safety items are deemed complete, such as the sewer systems for the home sites and power. Staff recommends approval on the condition that the applicant agrees to meet with all the items on the Terrebonne Parish Engineering Division's punch list.
Thank you, Mr. Pulaski. Commissioners?
I'll make a motion to accept it as staff recommendation.
Okay. We have a motion by Mr. Burgard, second by Reverend Gray for approval. Any discussion?
One.
Okay, Mr. Thibodeau. Mr. Thibodeau?
Yeah, all right, I guess. Anyway, just a couple of questions to the engineer. I guess the 2-year warranty is typically beyond the, I mean, ordinarily it's a 1-year warranty, right? But we're requiring more from them on the roadway?
That is correct. We normally do a 1 year, but for this one, we're requiring a 2 year.
Okay. And I notice on A and B, I guess we're gonna reinspect before that 1-year warranty expires. Is that the intent
Yes.
of what you have here?
Yes.
Okay. I know the representative referred to some of this stuff, or maybe you referred to all of it as small, but this was a big undertaking, and thank you, Ms. Snyder, for, I guess, the job you've done in trying to keep up with it all, or not trying to, of keeping up with it all. That big list has been reduced considerably to a page and a half, so there was one other question I had here. Now, with the lift station and all, this is I guess, a private contractor that's doing the work, and then you keep up with it, and what happens with that?
Yes, sir. So Byron Talbot has its own sub that specializes in the lift stations. So they are addressing all these items through Byron Talbot.
All right. How much money will have been spent when this is all said and done?
The contract for Byron Talbot is about $9.8 million. You have
No, I'm talking about in total, the development and everything.
in total, the construction budget with the houses, the commercial building, the community center, the force main for 2 miles and almost 1.5 miles of concrete road throughout the entire thing is about $32 million.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna support this, but I'll ask you for some things, and I guess I'm gonna consider this under the welfare, health, safety. I'll put the welfare hat on with regards to my planning commission role, and it might be a little borderline. But what I'd like from you is some sort of breakout of Byron Talbot, and then what subcontracts. I'd like to know what women contracts were awarded, what minority contracts were awarded, any small business in the dollar amount, and I'd like the contractor's name, if that's not too burdensome to ask of you.
Yes, sir.
All right? Thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Under new business, Lot 8A and 8B, a redivision of Lot 8, Block 3 addendum number 2, Magenta Estates West Subdivision, Process D minor subdivision, 548 Crochettville Road, Montague, Louisiana, Terrebonne Parish, District Council District 9, Montague Fire District, David A. Abels, Kenneth Rembert, Land Surveyor.
Yes, Ken Rembert, 635 School Street, Houma, Louisiana, representing Mr. Abel. This gentleman has one of the tracts of land in the Magenta Estates subdivision, just south of Montague, across the bayou from Montague. He would like to take this lot and subdivide it into two. He has someone interested in buying an area in the back, and we created a 25-foot piece of, a strip of land to get to that track in the back. We have all of the utility companies responded. Board of Health is fine with it. And the only person that did not respond is South Coast, and we've notified them twice. They just haven't come through with it yet. And we'd like to see that this gets approved.
Okay, we call for a public hearing. Anybody from the public? First call, public. Second call, public. Third and final call, public.
Motion to close?
I have a motion by Mr. Thibodeau. Second by Mr. Burgard to close. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, motion carries. Mr. Pulaski. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is minor subdivision process D to create 2 lots for single-family residential use. The lot configuration and layout meet parish subdivision regulation standards. Drainage calcs are not required. Utility letters have been submitted except for gas, and the municipal address for Lot 8B needs to be depicted on the plat. Staff recommends approval on the condition submittal of all utility letters and that the municipal address for Lot 8B be depicted on the plat.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Soulier, second by Ms. Ellender. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Item H2A, revised parcel 3A dash and lot 55, a redivision of parcel 3A belonging to Forgo Louisiana LLC, process D minor subdivision, 10474 4 Point Road, Dulac, Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana, Council District 7, Grand County Fire District. Joanne Kack, surveyor Ken Rembert.
Yes, Ken Rembert, 635 School Street. I should have asked that this be tabled by a letter, just didn't get around to doing that. So at this time, I'd like it to be, we have a few problems on it, problem with Board of Health and something
Okay.
else. And we'd like to, at this time, ask for this to be tabled till next month.
Okay. Need a motion?
You have a light?
I'm sorry, Mr. Thibodeau.
Yes, sir. I'd offer a motion to table per developer's request.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Thibodeau. Second by Mr. Smith. Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Item H3A, Track 6A-1 and 6A-2, redivision of Track 6A, property belonging to estate of Austin P. Olivier Jr. et al., process D minor subdivision, 5032 and 5052, Alcee Street, Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana, Council District 3, Bayou Cane Fire District, Dale Olivier and Darren Olivier developers. Ken Rembert.
Yes, Ken Rembert, 635 School Street, representing the Olivier family. This property is located slightly north of, say, Coteau Road, in the Park Avenue area. It's right off of the Allemont Subdivision on Alcee Street. And they own a relatively large tract of land with 2 houses on it. And we'd like to see about dividing that property so that they can dispose of the property. We have the letters from the different utility companies. There's fire hydrant protection there. We have a little sewer problem on one of the houses, and we would like, if y'all would be kind enough to give me a conditional approval so that we can proceed with this after we correct the sewer problem, and we'll see about getting a letter to the Planning Commission once it's approved by the sewer department.
Okay. Call for a public hearing. Anybody in the public put an address? Please step forward and your name and address.
Council members, my name is Debbie Benoit. I'm at 120 Royce Street, which is in Alamo Subdivision. It's District 3 for the council, but I am a District 4 school board member that lives in that area. I'm here to address the concern that we really don't have enough information about what the plans are for disposing or separating this property. In our neighborhood, we actually have two streets, one way in, one way out. We have a quite older subdivision, and older meaning older residents that live there. A lot of them would have liked to have been here tonight. A lot of them didn't even know about this, actually. And I will tell you, I had a certified letter sent to my address. My husband and I were not home when it was delivered, and so there was a sticker put on the door. Neighbors started talking about having this letter, and we didn't know anything about it. We said we didn't get one. Yesterday, when my husband was cutting the grass, he found the sticker that had blown off the door, and we finally received the letter and got information about it. So today, I spent as much time as I could after work trying to talk to my neighbors about it and see how they felt about it. And with the weather the way it was, I didn't have a whole lot of time to make it through the whole subdivision, but I will tell you, every house that I went to objected conditionally to this based on drainage problems that we have. I've lived in the subdivision since 1973. Originally, we had no drainage problems. I would say it showed up within the last few years. Now, of course, I'm not an engineer, so I don't know what's causing it, if it's population, if it's culverts that need to be cleaned, or sewage materials that have to be updated. I don't know, but I know that we have a severe flooding problem, especially when we have a heavy rain. Not to mention a hurricane, but definitely during heavy rains, and we've had a lot of those this year and last year. So because most of our residents are aged, a lot of them couldn't be here tonight, so I thought really what I could do to represent them was to have a petition. And so I did get signatures from everyone whose houses are lined up against this property, and then others. But I had no trouble getting that, and if I have more time, I'm sure I could get everybody in the subdivision to sign it. So I'd like to present this to the council members and ask that you consider not accepting this change in zoning. And from what I understood is that this property was zoned for farming, not residence for, building other houses. I may be wrong about that, but that's what I've always known since I've lived there. And it's always been beautiful to have livestock in the backyard, and I'd love to continue that, and I'm sure there's people that would love to buy it and do that. And so my prayer is that you consider allowing them to sell it so that people can develop it in that way. Thank you.
Okay.
May I give this to?
Becky.
To the clerk.
Thank you. Hi.
My name is Gwen Davis. I live at 228 Royce, which is the back of the street. And it's only 2 blocks for our street. And I'm also here for my sister-in-law who lives at 122. She couldn't be here. She has physical disabilities. Her house, the property at issue is right behind her house. I bought my house in 1976. And whenever we have a heavy rain, we have flooding problems. And I brought pictures to submit to y'all. So at the very least, we need more time to find out what the plans are and to see if anything can be done about the drainage before anything is built or added to that property.
Can you come bring those pictures? Let's see if we can all see them. Thank you.
I think what happened at some point, the road was blacktopped. And so now the street's a little higher than the yard. And again, like Debbie, I'm not an engineer. But then the parish came through and took out all the cement culverts that I paid to have installed, took out my cement culverts and my drains on the sides of the driveway, and they put in same size corrugated culverts, which didn't help anything. And my understanding was because they had federal funding that they needed to use that money. So at the very least, we're asking for more time and more research before it's approved.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name's Carolyn Suzanne Dewey. I have 4 pieces of property in that same subdivision. And my problem is a whole section is flooding when it rains really bad. And I think it's due to the way they had dug the ditches and the way they've cleaned it. And it's not been kept up for a long time. And so I'm concerned about anything else being built, like a home or trailers or anything else coming in there, and it doesn't have any other place to drain, because that was land that's not cemented, and it could absorb some water. And that's what I'm so concerned about, you know. And I just would like them to really dig into this before it's done, because I already have flood insurance on 2 of the houses that I have that's not even in a flood zone, because it's come up to my door numerous times. And I have pictures just like her. I just didn't make them. I can bring them to you. And it's the same thing, a bad rain, and it's almost coming into the house. And it never did. I've lived in that subdivision actually when I was 12 years old. My dad had 8 acres of land, and it never did that until they started playing around with things. And it's like in putting more houses and more places, and the ditches are, I ride around all the time picking up balls out of the ditches, because I'm so worried about it clogging up any worse than it already is. And so we just haven't had any attention paid to the subdivision in a long time. And it's really necessary, especially if we're going to add any more houses in there, any more residences, you know.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Chris? Mr. Pulaski?
That's it for the public? You need to do
Any
last
other
call?
public? Second call public? Third and final call public?
Motion to close? Oh, public?
Motion by Mr. Thibodeau. Second by Mrs. Soutelier. Any discussion? All those, oh, missed you. It won't let me give it to you.
Hello?
Okay, there you got it.
Well, it was on.
Yep.
Here.
I just wanted Mr. Reimbursement to have an opportunity to come back and to clarify when he had mentioned about the drainage, if it was a sewer drainage issue or whether it was a street drainage issue
No.
that you had brought up to say that still needed to be clarified.
No, the Board of Health said, I guess one of the treatment plants failed inspection or something like that. As far as the use of the land, I expect it to be used for what it's being used for now. There are 3 houses on it right now. And the purpose is to separate the 2 houses from the main house on the right-hand side. So I'm, you know, a little confused as to the concern over dividing it into 2 pieces, because there are 3 houses on it already. And I think it's being offered up as home sites. I think Mr. Olivier, one of the Oliviers, you would like to, is that what y'all have?
Y'all wanna come to the mic?
Yep.
It's my understanding that they were offering it up for home sites.
Hello?
Need your name and address for the.
Olivier, 4402 Southbound Mandalay Road. Our father passed away in January, and we have somebody interested in buying his home, but they didn't want the whole piece of lot. They own 4 acres, and we're just looking to divide it, to move it. We do realize that the house my dad's house is, got cesspools instead of sewage treatment plant. We do realize we're gonna have to probably put a sewage treatment plant in to get the house sold. But that's, all we're trying to do is divide it to sell it. We have people interested in it. Family member, both of them family members, a cousin and a nephew.
Okay.
I don't know what's the drainage issues, you know.
Okay, Mr. Thibodeau?
Yeah, I don't have any questions for him. Thank you, sir, for the explanation. I would just like to say to those folks who are complaining about the drainage problem, Councilman Gerald Michelle is your council person for District 3. I don't know if you've called him or talked to him to complain about the water I see on these pictures. If you haven't, you should, because there may be some maintenance issues that the parish has to perform to improve that situation. So just my comments. Thank you.
No,
Ready?
you haven't, I don't think you approved the motion
To close the public hearing?
close
Okay.
here at public.
Okay, motion to, oh, sorry about that.
Well, I don't know what his comments.
Yes, we could.
Okay.
So we have a motion on the floor to close public hearing. Moved by Mr. Soulier, second by Mr. Smith. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, motion carries. And who wants, okay, Mr. Burgard. Yeah.
Just for clarity, the request is not to reclassify the property, but just to clarify the property line. It's still residential, it's still as it was classified before, correct?
That's correct.
We're not asking for any rezoning.
It's not zoned,
It's not zoned.
It's not, okay,
single family.
single family. Thank you.
Mr. Pulaski?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a minor subdivision, process D, to create 2 lots for single-family residential use. The lot configuration and layout meet parish subdivision regulation standards. As both lots are already developed, no additional drainage calculations are required. But just to address some of the items that were mentioned, if somebody were to come into the planning office to apply for a building permit to build anything on these properties, because of the date of this particular subdivision, if the proposed development would include either 10,000 square feet of impervious area, or if more than 69% of the lot were to be covered with impervious area, then they would have to submit drainage calculations as part of that building permit. Additionally, and as Mr. Thibodeau alluded to, I think, I'm certainly happy to make a call into Public Works and the Gravity Drainage Division to take a look at this area to see if there's anything that can be done to address any drainage issues that you guys might be having. We do have utility letters have been submitted except for the Department of Health. Bayou Cane Fire Department has issued a letter of no objection. All the public notice requirements have been met, and staff received 1 call for more information. Staff recommends approval on the condition that the applicant submit an approval letter from Department of Health.
Thank you.
I move that we,
Yeah.
move that we grant additional approval based on staff recommendation.
Okay, I have a motion by Reverend Gray,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Thibodeau, and Mr. Thibodeau?
Yeah. Is there, did the director of the conversation make it any clearer to you all? I actually want to make sure if you have an opportunity, if the chairman would allow, if you have another question?
Okay. Yes, that's fine. Come back to the mic.
So, information disclosed what Mr. Rembert said tonight was never sent to any of us. That, we got a sketch of the area that they wanted to subdivide, but there's been no real, written information about what he said tonight. So you can imagine everyone is concerned about what exactly are they trying to do. Tonight is the first time we've heard just divided in half and somebody's buying one side, somebody else is buying the other side. I guess my concern is that if they do that, will they be able to then subdivide and build a subdivision of houses back there? We're concerned about the drainage, yes, but we're also concerned about the traffic. We have a lot of traffic already on our street. Again, one street in and out, that's it. So y'all approving this is still not, we're still not comfortable with knowing that, you know, what they might do once it's subdivided, if they have the ability to change their mind and do something different.
Let me say this, if you heard what the director said about what further development or something different happens, what will have to happen. You can't just go there and throw up anything. Whoever buys this can't just say, oh, we're going to change it and do this. Everything has to be approved. Everything has to be permitted for any development. So there is a safety net there for you. It's just like somebody can't come and do anything there, okay?
Okay.
Yeah,
And because it was primarily farmland before, that's what we imagined it to continue to be, not, you know, houses. And yes, there are two small little shotgun houses on one side and then a large brick house on the other side. And if it was just divided that way and it stays that way, we don't have any problem with that. It's if it changes, if that is different, then yes, we do have a problem.
Call Councilman Gerald Michelle too, okay?
Will do.
I'm done, thank you.
Mr. Pulaski.
And a light bulb just went off. So also, just to further reiterate that, the lot on the left-hand side of the screen, as we're seeing it, there's two houses on it now. Our residential building park regulations that we modified back in 2016 or 2018, I think it was, now state that more than two single-family residents on a same parcel constitute a residential building park. So if somebody wanted to come in and put an additional home on the lot on the left-hand side, that would be a residential park, building park. There's a whole lot of requirements and regulations that have come along with that, and it would be another round of public hearings, and you all would get notified about that. And the same would hold true for any further subdivision of either of these lots. They are still pretty big, but I mean, I don't see the likelihood of a huge single-family residential subdivision happening back here. But potentially, you could have somebody who may become interested in a residential building park. But again, that would be something that you guys would get notices about. And we had a situation at that time that there was similar concerns about density and traffic and the burden on the infrastructure that was, for rural areas. So that's why we modified those regulations and definitions to address that.
Thank you, Mr. Pulaski. That helps.
Thank you.
Well, let's get through this one first, and then we'll talk.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to approve as per staff recommendations. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion. Have Ms. Ellender voting no. Motion carries. Okay, we're going to just take for about a 2-minute recess. We need to take a microphone off.
See, I can't see what's going on behind me, I'm not a school teacher. I don't have eyes in the back of my head. My wife does. Yeah. My wife has eyes all around. You got
I
his?
got it.
Okay.
Got it. Okay, item H4A, Lot 1-A and 1-B, a redivision of Lot 1, Block 1 to Henderson Park Subdivision, Process D minor subdivision, 103 and 105 Henderson Street, Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana, Council District 5, Bayou Cane Fire District, Latham Homes LLC. Mr. Rembert?
Yes, Ken Rembert, 635 School Street, representing the gentleman, Mr. Latham, that owns this property. This property is located on Henderson Street, and that's just a street right off of Park Avenue.
Excuse me, Mr. Rembert?
Sure.
Sir, if you don't mind. Okay, Mr. Rembert, sorry.
That's okay. It's just off of Park Avenue. Henderson is across the bayou, say from Terrebonne High School, in that vicinity. At any rate, this Mr. Latham owns this particular property, and he'd like to divide it. It has three homes on it. Two would be on one side, and one would be on the other side. And we've got any letters from the different utility companies saying they can continue to serve the residences that are there. And we would need, I think, a little variance for the hydrant itself. We're only a fraction of a foot more than the 250 feet. We'd like to see about getting a variance for that particular distance. We have a letter from Board of Health, not Board of Health, but Pollution Control, and they say they have no objection to it, but that we would have to add another, I think all three of the houses on the same tap, so we'd have to add another tap for one of the houses, I think the one on 1B. Other than that, I think we have everything we need to get this approved, and I'd like to see about getting that done, maybe conditionally that we add that sewer tap.
Okay. Call for a public hearing. Anybody from the public? First call, public. Second call, public. Third and final call, public.
Motion to close?
Motion by Mr. Thibodeau, second by Mr. Burgard. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed. Motion carries. Mr. Pulaski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a minor subdivision, Process D, to create 2 lots for residential use. Currently, the subject property is 1 legal lot of record with 3 residences in an R1 zoning district and is considered to be legal non-conforming as the structures were built prior to the area being zoned in 2007. The proposed subdivision places one of the existing homes on its own lot, thereby making the properties more conforming to the zoning district. The setbacks remain legal non-conforming. While there appears to be sufficient off-street parking, a portion of the limestone driveway for Lot 1B encroaches onto proposed Lot 1A. The applicant has requested a variance from the 250-foot hydrant distance, but is within the 10% allowance. Bayou Cane Fire Department has issued a letter of no objection. Staff recommends approval of the variance, and staff recommends approval on the condition that the applicant either add a servitude of passage on Lot 1A for the adjacent driveway or remove the portion that is encroaching onto Lot 1A and installation of the sewer tap as per pollution control.
Mr. Burgard?
Yeah, so you saying that 105B will have the primary use of the left-hand driveway of 105A?
It's
Mr. Rembert?
We can place a servitude like Mr. Pulaski suggested to provide access if any access is impeded by the driveway.
So 105A has to park on the street? Is that the street parking that you're saying is available?
Well, we could have parking on the side. We could have parking in the front. I think we would probably have enough room to park in front.
Yeah, I mentioned sufficient off-street parking. So, in this instance, let me go back to so you've got the driveway that's on proposed Lot 1B, which is essentially tandem-style parking, but there is room in the front of lot, 105A, and there's space in between lot, or house at 105A and 105B. I mean, that's how they're parking now. So really nothing's changing. My concern had more to do with this portion of the driveway that's actually going over the property line onto proposed lot 1A.
Well, I can easily see where they probably become accustomed, but as people move out and others move in or what have you, I can easily see where if a resident at 105A parks on the left side of his home, then 105B can't get out. So if it's a shared driveway, that wouldn't always work out. I would prefer to see allocated 2 spots that would not be blocking B from a means of escape.
We could do something like that. I mean, we could burden the lot on the left with a little widening of the driveway right in at the beginning, so the fellow in the back could get by. If that's what you'd like, I can add that to the plat.
Well, I mean, for any reason later, if there's a fire or if there's a reason that someone needs to get to B and someone's parked in that driveway on the left, it's going to impede service to that home or a means of easement just to retreat. That's all I got. Thank you.
So you could, in a motion, if you were to agree with what Mr. Rembert just mentioned as an option, which would be to adjust that servitude of passage on lot 1A, and also increase the width of the limestone driveway to a sufficient width so that it could provide access for parking for lot 1B. I mean, that could be part of your motion, of the motion to be made. So it wouldn't necessarily be as per staff. No motion has been made, so it's not a substitute motion or anything like that. But, so that would be my suggestion at this
To
point.
offer a motion with his additional comments.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'd like, if y'all are down.
With
No, that's
the,
fine.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to accept it under the condition that resident 105A have independent parking separate from 105B to allow for clear passage for B in the rear.
I have a motion by Mr. Burgard, second by Mr. Soulier.
Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
the other part of the staff condition was the installation of the tap as per pollution control. So does that?
Yeah, I would add that
Okay.
to the motion.
And add that.
And please add the council's recommendation for the tap to be added for the additional residents separate.
I have a motion by Mr. Burgard. You still second, Mr. Soulier? Okay, second by Mr. Soulier. Any further discussion? Mr. Thibodeau?
Yeah, Mr. Reverend?
Yes, sir.
What the owner's motivation for the subdivision?
I don't really know. They just asked me to do it, Mr. Thibodeau. I should have asked.
All right, thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed? Mr. Thibodeau abstaining.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Item H5, lots 1 through 5, Block 1, and lots 1 through 4, Block 2 of Coastal Oaks Subdivision, a redivision of Tract 1B belonging to Coastal Commercial Properties LLC, Process D Minor Subdivision, Highway 182, Block 3500 Block, Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana, Council District 7, by Black Fire District, Coastal Commercial Properties Developer, Mr. Rembert.
Yes, Ken Rembert, 635 School Street, Houma, representing coastal commercial developers. This property is located a few miles west of the city of Houma. It's along Highway 182, headed toward Gibson, so to speak. It's just past Mike St. Martin's home, and Mr. Tootle is the president of that particular company, and he'd like to create some home sites along the highway there. I think we have about maybe 9 big lots that are going to be open for sale with probably future development in the back. And we have letters from the different utility companies that saying they can serve the property, and we have had a drainage study done, and that's fine. We have fire hydrant protection for all of the lots, and we'd like to see about getting this approved.
Okay. Call for a public hearing. Sir, state your name and your address, please.
Louis Eshday, 3557 Bayou Black Drive, or 182, same. We own the property to the west side. It borders that property there. He said that there was a drainage approval, but if you read into the fine print of that document, it talks about the drainage and that the canal is maintained by the parish, which it's not. It's maintained by our property and Mike St. Martin. And the thing is, there's a pump on our property. It's not the parish pump, it's our pump. We just spent $11,000 getting the discharge repaired. And my dad's been, he's here tonight, he can't hold it here, so he's just here to support. So anyway, he's been running that pump, or we've been running that pump to drain ourselves and Mike St. Martin's property, who they purchased this through, for 30 plus years. And we've been maintaining the pump. The agreement we have with Mike St. Martin's, he provides the fuel. We have a big 500-gallon tank. He provides the fuel, but we maintain the pump. We run the pump. We make sure everything gets drained. What we'd like to do is meet with the property owner to see if we can come kind of resolution, because we don't want to be responsible now it's being developed. Yeah, they got some lots in the front, but you just said it's probably going to develop to the back. We don't want to be responsible for pumping the property out, and the pump's either broken or we're not there or something happens, and then somebody's house gets flooded and they're going to point the finger at us because the pump's on our property. That's what we're concerned about. We've been pumping, I think, long enough. The canal's been dug out a few times. Mike St. Martin, he just recently built another levee behind that canal in the Marsh side. We have one that we built in the front of it to maintain our property, and he decided to put one behind it. So we have kind of a double levee system on our own. We spent quite a few $1,000s getting a levee built, and no telling how much Mike spent for a much bigger levee behind that canal. We own past the canal, so does Mike. So we just want to come to some kind of resolution. I wanted to make sure they understood that the parish is not responsible for that canal. We've been taking care of it ourselves. Like I said, it's been dug out a couple of times, maybe 3 times. When we first moved on that property, you could jump across the ditch. Now you can run an outboard through it. So it's been dug out quite a few times. The big thing is, like this year, they just purchased the property this year. They've never seen the flooding yet. This has been a dry year. We've only run our pump 3 times since January. And I can show you pictures on my phone. It floods where I can't even ride my four-wheeler in it toward the back part of that property. The canal doesn't maintain the water, especially during hurricanes. It doesn't maintain the water. It overflows. So there's water throughout there. So instead of just running a few hours, we might have to run 24, 48, sometimes even 72 hours of running that pump consistently to get all the water out. And we have cane between us on our property, but we have half our properties residential, the other half we put it in cane. So we try to keep it out so the cane farmers are not in the worry about it, so it doesn't flood the cane too, so it kind of pumps them out as well. So there's a lot of things going on there to try to keep the water out. And the neighbor next to us now has built a new levee behind the marsh. He's kind of got the idea we had, so he's just recently built one in the last couple of months. He sees the benefit of that as well. And I think he has a pump in his end too. So I guess what it comes down to is we don't want to be responsible for pumping out a subdivision and then have some kind of liability issue if that subdivision floods and either the pump's down or we're not there. Like I said, catastrophic rain, especially during hurricanes, we don't want to be responsible for it. So I just want you to be aware that the drainage is not maintained by the parish. We're maintaining it ourselves as well as the pump.
Okay.
Any questions?
Any questions? Mr. Burgard?
Yeah, the drainage that you're speaking of is that only behind the 3 properties you're speaking of?
Yeah, it runs, it dead ends at our end. It used to come, it's all south down properties. It used to come from the other end, the western end, but we blocked it off when we bought the property. And we have the pump in the corner. I can show you a picture of just the pump. I can't show you, if you look, the pump's located in the bottom part. You probably can't see it in that clear picture.
Use the
Yeah.
clicker.
Okay. I don't see it.
Is this you right here?
Yes, that's our residence is right there. We have a big shed and I have my house there too. And then if you look, yeah, here it goes. Right there is where the pump's at. This is the canal, cuts all the way across, and then it cuts in and goes back here. We're pumping all that property. We're talking about probably 1.5 miles of canal we have to pump out right now. And we've been doing that because we had an agreement with Mike St. Martin, and we've been doing that for, like I said, 30-plus years.
You own the property on the other side of the ditch also?
Yes, we own some on the other side.
So it's a
It doesn't
private
go very
ditch.
deep, but it goes a little ways past it, correct. But it's all marsh now. When we first moved there, we could cut that property with a big tractor and a bush hog. Now I can't ride my four-wheeler back there. That's much has changed over the last 30-plus years. But that's where the pump's at, in that corner. And, I mean, I could show you a picture of the pump. I brought one with me. I can show you.
So
It's not
it is a private canal?
Yes,
So- Yeah, it's on private property.
correct. And just I'm gonna show you, just what the pump looks like. Not a little setup. This is a big deep pump. You can see that this is a new big pump. Pipe we just put in so we can go over the tractor, so we can actually cut the grass on the levee that Mike St. Martin built, so we
Yeah.
can keep the grass off of the trees and that kind of thing. Everybody wanted to see it.
Can they pass that around and you go back to the mic?
What's that?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Jim, can I ask you something?
Sure.
How far from your property line did you block the canal off?
It's not blocked, it's blocked right there where the pump's at. Because
Oh,
it
you
used to
blocked it
circle
right.
back around from the western side.
Okay.
And when we made the road to get where the pump's at, we blocked it off when we bought the property.
So it actually goes past your property,
From the pump, it goes back toward Mike St. Martin's.
so it doesn't go east?
No, it doesn't go west, it goes east.
Okay, and it
You look
doesn't
at
go
that-
west because you blocked it?
Yes,
All right.
that was done when we bought the property and made the road.
You made the canal?
No, the canal was there, but it's been dug out by Mike St. Martin several times,
Well, how did you conclude it was private?
because it's on our property.
Oh.
Our property goes past that.
But it east and west, the canal is far longer or farther than your property line, right?
No,
No? Okay, all right.
it's on our property.
Anyway.
We
thank
own
you.
behind the canal.
Okay, all right. I don't have, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm good.
Hold on.
Their property drains in the canal, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Okay. Second call public. Third and final call public. Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Burgard to close public. Second by Ms. Ellender. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. All oppose. Motion carries. Mr. Pulaski.
Well, I mean, I have a approval letter from Parish Engineering, but I think we need to address some of the comments that we just heard, to see. I mean, the plat for the subdivision doesn't have information or a whole lot of detailed information outside of the property that is the subject property here. So it doesn't indicate whether or not there is any sort of drainage servitude
In the back.
on that canal that, you know,
He's
that
referencing.
they're referencing in the back. I don't know if Joan would have anything to add to that, but Mr. Rembert, do you know if
Yeah.
there's a,
Yes, there's I think we left the 50-foot drainage right away alongside the ditch at Mike's request, at Mr. St. Martin's request. That the statement about it being a public ditch was done, I guess, by my draftsman. I didn't see that. I apologize for that being on the map. I just, I didn't notice he had put that on there. But, yeah, we put the servitude on at Mike's request so that the drainage he could continue maintaining the drainage and keeping the ditch dredged out and keep it from getting stopped up.
And I don't see where it says that it's a public ditch.
I didn't see it either, but I could have missed it.
I guess the only thing I see is that the ditch is kind of irrelevant at this point, because if his pump fails, his private pump fails.
This map we got on the back of the notice, you look at the very bottom, the second item up to the left, it talks about drainage.
Yeah.
It says it's something about the parish maintaining the ditch.
Oh, which is maintained by Terrebonne Parish.
That should not be on
Okay,
Okay.
all right, thank you. I see it now.
Yeah. So, yeah, if Ms. Jones?
The calculations did reference a private pump. Was not aware that it wasn't already agreed upon as to how everything would be handled. But the runoff coming from the residential area wasn't any more than was there previously with the other activities that were on the property. With putting houses on those few lots on the highway made no impact to the drainage system. Now, yes, they do need to talk to the owner of the pump and get all of that straightened out.
Okay. Reverend Gray?
Should we table for 30 days and allow them to discuss what they would do to maintain the pumps together? Is 30 days enough time to?
Yeah, we just want to have set up a meeting. We had it's just the LLC doesn't say who to meet with, who to call, no numbers, so we want to set up a meeting. That's what we came today. We're not against the development at all. We're just saying what they want to do. We just, it's the drainage issue we're worried about.
Okay, well, I motion that we table for 30 days to the next upcoming meeting and enough time for the two property owners to discuss drainage.
I'll second it.
Okay. I have a motion by Reverend Gray, second by Mr. Suday to table this item for till the next meeting so the owners can discuss the pump situation. Okay. Getting them off. Just tried that. It's still not going off. All right.
So this property owner is just out of good faith letting the property owner that's about to develop the property that he would not have the burden of draining off his property, right?
So it sounds like.
So the burden would be on
the new development?
Yeah, the new development. Just wanted to clarify that. Okay.
He doesn't want to be responsible for that.
But it doesn't sound like he would be responsible.
Well, if the water floods in.
We don't want to be responsible. They can develop that. Let's face the fact. We can develop that further. We don't want to be responsible for not pumping some water out because it overflows and it floods, and we're responsible for the pump. We don't want to be responsible for that anymore.
It should be an agreement.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were already on.
Okay, so the portion of revised track 1B, the 55 acres to the back, I mean, certainly it is set up for future development, but of course, that's going to involve a major subdivision, which will have drainage all of itself, and it's certainly going to impact the canal in the back and make use of it. I think the lots that are being proposed here along the highway according to engineering, have little to no impact, that the historic runoff at the rear of the property remains as is, and it's unaffected by the proposed subdivision. I would suggest that we approve as per staff's recommendation, but you do have a motion and a second on the floor to table so that the property owners can get it straightened out. But they'll certainly have to get it straightened out before anybody comes with anything further for the big portion in the rear.
Okay. Yeah, I know, I'm trying to get there. Mr.
Yes,
Bogart?
I do have another question pertaining to the entrance that's left at the 71-foot, almost 72-foot that would allow entrance to the larger property in the rear. If down the road it would be approved, would 72-foot be wide enough for a two-way boulevard if necessary, depending on what gets developed in the rear?
Yeah, depending upon the type of drainage, whether it's open ditch or curb and gutter, the right-of-way would be sufficient. I mean, you've got 40 foot is your typical minimum right-of-way for a minor residential with curb and gutter. I think it's, do you guys know off the top, is it 60 for open ditch? Or 80?
I think it's a minimum of 50 if it's open ditch, but it's 50 depending that the ditches fit in the 50-foot right-of-way.
And then the number of trips per day determine what type of road classification it would be coming in and out. And that too has an impact on the right-of-way width. So, you know, them giving themselves that 72, they do kind of lock themselves into ultimately how many units they'd be able to put back there.
Exactly. Okay. So, yeah, it's a large parcel, and depending on what they would go and do later, that would potentially be a lot of volume. But thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye to table. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item 6A has been tabled. Item 7A, made a motion to table that one earlier. Item 7A, Emerson Lake Phase 3, Process C, Major Subdivision Engineering, Emerson Drive, Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana, Council District 3, Bayou Cane Fire District, Pete Land Properties, LLC, Milford and Associates. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Gene Milford with Milford and Associates, representing the developer, Pete Land Properties, LLC, for Emerson Lakes Phase 3 engineering. Typically, engineering reads their letter and then I respond.
Okay.
Engineering Division of Terrebonne Parish Department of Public Works has reviewed the plans and calculations for Emerson Lake Phase 3. The plans and calculations fail to comply with parish ordinances and subdivision regulations in the following areas. Architectural drawings are required for the 7-unit and the 5-unit with the building shift. HS03 dead-end installation is required at the turnaround. Does not conform to the SDDM. Typical section is missing the location of electric servitude for the light. All lots not graded to drain to the street to a major drainage artery. The Houma Terrebonne Regional Planning Commission is authorized to allow that portion of a lot it deems appropriate to drain to the rear if the drainage is to be perpetually privately maintained or drainage to the rear already exists or is to be dedicated. These lots do not qualify for this exception because there has been no method provided to allow the property to drain. Approval letter should be provided from the following utilities: Waterworks, electric utility, gas utility, Department of Health and Hospitals for water and sewer, and approval from TPCG utilities for streetlights should be provided.
Mr. Milford?
Okay. We intend to resolve or comply all the items on there. We do ask that, you allow us to work with engineering for item 3B. We do have intents for a servitude on the back. We just hadn't completely worked out how we're gonna get some of the drainage out of the back of these. These are townhouses with 0 lot lines, so you you know, on a larger lot, you have space between each house to come up the property lines. In this case, with 0 lot lines, we have to cross the back of each other lot. We haven't worked out whether we're gonna use an above-ground swale ditch or put some culverts in with various catch basins. Like I said, we haven't worked that out yet. We intend to work it out, but we just wanna make sure that you allow us to work it out with engineering by granting us the opportunity to work with engineering on that. All other items will resolve or comply.
Okay. Mr. Pulaski?
Well, engineering has submitted a punch list. Bayou Cane Fire Department has issued a letter of no objection. They already discussed the architectural plans, so we'll need to get those revised plans. And staff would recommend approval on the condition that the applicant agrees to meet with all the items on Parish Engineering's punch list, and that they also be including the design of the drainage on the rear, along the rear of the property lines.
Okay.
And I'd just like to add, while everybody's here, just keep in mind when we are working that out, you know, fences, if they're going across, I mean, those lots, some of those lots get pretty close to that rear property line, so I don't know what the developer's plans are for privacy fences. So if they do plan to have those, and those would be all the way up to that rear property line, perhaps subsurface drainage and catch basins might be the way to go versus swales, because the fence would block the surface flow.
Yeah, it usually works better if they keep the fence off the ground. Helps from rot and everything else.
Yeah.
But, yes, we more than likely will go that route. We just want to make sure we can have the opportunity to work it out with engineering, and y'all have to give us that opportunity.
Okay. Commissioners?
I'll move we grant conditional approval based on the planning director's recommendation.
You have a motion by Mr. Thibodeau, second by Ms. Ellender. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
8A, Cypress Gardens Townhomes, Process C, Major Subdivision Engineering. I'm getting you. Get that all.
Engineering Division of the Terrebonne Parish Department of Public Works has reviewed the plans and calculations for Cypress Gardens townhomes. The plans and calculations fail to comply with parish ordinances and subdivision regulations in the following areas. Architectural drawings are required. Sawmill Pond needs to be revised to Sawmill Pond Drive on all plans. DOTD permit is required. Dead-end signs are required at the turnaround on Sawmill Pond Drive. No parking sign should be placed in the turnaround on Sawmill Pond Drive. No outlet sign is required. Speed limit and street signs are not shown on the signage plan. Servitude for culvert 126 is not shown on the plat, drainage plan, and plan profile. Block length should not exceed 600 feet in length. Plans state the subdivision is located in sections 2 and 4 but is not delineated on the plat. Turnaround on Roof Lynn does not meet design requirements. It does not conform to the SDDM. Finish grade is not shown at the right-of-way on the plan profile. Electric and communication servitude shall not be in the pond servitude. Drainage culverts are in electric servitude. Electric servitude is in the road right-of-way. Street lights on Sawmill Pond Drive are not located in the electric servitude. All lots are not graded to drain to the street or to our major drainage artery. The Houma Terrebonne Regional Planning Commission is authorized to allow that portion of a lot that it deems appropriate to drain to the rear if the drainage is to be perpetually privately maintained, or drainage to the rear already exists or is to be dedicated. However, the percentage may not exceed 60% of the total depth of lots up to 225 feet. These lots do not qualify for this exception because they are over the 60%. They're more like 80%. Cross sections show uneven proposed lot grades. Pond servitudes are not shown on the cross sections. A SWIP is required. Approval letter should be provided from the following utilities: Waterworks, Electric Utility, Gas Utility, Department of Health and Hospitals for water and sewer pollution control. Approval from TPCG Utilities for streetlights should be provided. A benchmark is required at the intersection of Roofland and Sawmill Pond Drive.
Good evening. I'm Corbin Aber with Delta Coast Consultants, 631 South Hollywood Road. We have reviewed the comments from the engineering division, and we will make the corrections as needed. The only comments we have is we would like to request a variance on the following items. On item 9, for a block length should not exceed 600 feet in length. For item 12B, electric and communication servitude shall not be in the pond servitude. Item 12C, drainage culverts are in the electric servitude. And for item 12D, electric servitude is in the road right-of-way.
Mr. Pulaski?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to review it, conceptual and preliminary, one of the conditions of approval was an approval letter from Bayou Cane for the turnaround. Bayou Cane Fire Department issued a letter of no objection and discussed the proposed turnaround, but and that letter came recently, but the agreed upon configuration does require the variance from the block length max from 600 to 777. Both planning and engineering recommend approval of that variance request. With respect to architectural plans, staff is recommending that the submittal be a conditional approval, and upon submittal, we will ensure that the proposed building types are in keeping with the approved layout, and if not, we'll bring it back to the Planning Commission for further review. As for the requested variances outside of number 9, I'll leave that to engineering if there's any further comment or discussion on that, but staff does recommend approval of the block length variance, and staff recommends approval on the condition that the applicant agrees to meet with all the items on Terrebonne Parish's engineering punch list, with the discussion about the variances for 12 BCD.
Right. Okay. Mr. Thibodeau.
I mean, he punted the ball to the.
Well, I'm not an engineer, so I'm gonna definitely punt.
Yeah, let's hear from her.
We met with the developer or the engineer in May to discuss the idea of having the electrical servitudes in the roadway. The concept that was presented to us in May is not the concept that was presented to us for this meeting. There's a lot more electrical in the road right-of-way than was originally presented. A condition of that was also that there be a letter from Entergy agreeing that they could be in a non-exclusive road servitude, and we have yet to receive that. I spoke to the Director of Public Works, and he does not approve of the plan as submitted. And the servitudes around the pond are drainage servitudes, and they cannot be for anything else but drainage. It'll be very hard to clean the pond, maintain the pond, if there are poles or boxes or any kind of conduits in the servitude for communication and power.
Yes, sir.
I'm coming.
Oh,
All right.
I'm not first anyway.
Yeah, you are.
It's me? Yes, sir. Given the professional opinion of the engineer, pretty clear that there's some issues that needs to be worked out. And with that in mind, I'd like to table the matter for 30 days until our next regular meeting.
Sure thing. Thank you.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Thibodeau, second by Mr. Burgard to table for 30 days. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Just to clarify, it'll be tabled until the next meeting.
Next meeting.
August 18th.
Okay, August 18th. Thank you, Ms. Beck.
Yeah, 'cause 30 days would be August 21st, so we ain't got no meeting then. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Staff reports.
Yes, sir. The first is discussion and possible action regarding the revision or development of the travel expense reimbursement. So, historically, whenever members of the Planning Commission travel, and usually it's for the national or state planning conferences, they're allowed a per diem. And that per diem is based on the distance traveled and the times that you're traveling. And essentially, when the commissioner would return from the conference, they would be issued that per diem just based on those totals, whatever the maximum amount is. We had 3 commissioners attend the national conference in May. Yes. Or was it April? Well, it doesn't. Earlier this year.
End of April.
End of April, beginning of May.
Yeah.
Very end of April. So when they came back and submitted for the per diem reimbursements, we were informed by Parish Finance Department that they were required to submit, in keeping with the Parish Council's policy, that they were required to submit itemized receipts. Now, the commissioners weren't aware of that. I don't think it's fair that, that in effect, here we have a policy or a way of the Planning Commission doing this for a period of years, and then to go back and kind of change it, or at least inform them of this new requirement, just seemed to be a bit unfair. The Planning Commission does operate under its own budget, and you guys have, in the past, you've approved expenses and this, that, or the other. So what our recommendation would be is to request that the Planning Commission go ahead and approve the per diem for a reimbursement for the conference attendees according to the per diem amount, without the submittal of the itemized receipts. But then to also ask that legal counsel for the Planning Commission look at the Parish Council's policy for travel and travel expense reimbursements, and then present to the Planning Commission and staff what they recommend that we could then adopt as a policy going forward.
Mr. Burchett?
Chris and I spoke right before this meeting started with that idea. That's easy can do for me if that's what y'all want. I can come up with something. Everyone can review it and offer changes or revisions to it to, fit this commission the best. And then if we go down the road, we could just bring it at next meeting possibly and have it approved by the board, and then we could follow that from then on, whatever you guys want.
Okay. So I need a motion to approve the per diem request for the past expenses, for the recent expenses, and also to have council develop a plan for future expenses as far as whether receipts are submitted or not.
Correct, in keeping, with the parish
with the
policies
parish policy.
and, local, state laws, that kind of stuff, sure.
Ourselves from that
Okay.
vote.
I'm sorry?
Now, that's a good question. So we had Rachel,
You got 3 of them.
Trey, and Corian all attended. So 1, 2, 3, 4, no, we won't have a quorum.
I'm not in it.
You have
No, but to vote.
Oh, to vote.
So
1,
if the
2, 3,
attendees
4.
recuse themselves, there's only 4 members left.
You have that's a majority?
I guess that's still a.
It's still a majority.
Still a majority.
It's an interesting
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's an interesting problem that we have though, because imagine if everyone wins.
Right. You're asking me to approve my own.
I get that, yeah.
I would say we would.
I would say we should break it up into 2. One motion for approving the per diem for the trip, and then another motion for a future policy. The first motion, I believe it was, who was it that went on this trip?
Rachel, Reverend Gray.
Okay.
and-
The first motion y'all would not vote on, and the second motion y'all would be allowed to vote.
So they would abstain on the first motion?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll break it up into 2 motions.
Still have a lot.
I'll make the motion.
Yep, wait, well, hold on, let's see. Mr. Thibodeau?
Yeah, has that been settled already? Did they get reimbursed?
Nope.
No,
Nope.
So it's still out?
not for
Not
the full
completely.
amount.
Oh.
Yeah, not for the full amount, there were
Nope, hang on, coming to you. Okay, now you got it.
In my case, as Chris said, some things I was reimbursed for, but as far as many of the food items, I went to the restaurant and had a charge to my room. So they wanted me to call the hotel restaurant and get an itemized receipt sent, which is impossible to happen. So as far as food, most of that wasn't reimbursed because it's impossible to get a hotel restaurant to send over food receipt, so late. So yeah.
I have one other question.
Coming.
Did the members who attended, did they have to pay for the lodging on their own or and then get reimbursed on that, or did we pay up front?
Yeah.
I think as some of the commissioners booked like their hotel or their flight and had to pay for it ahead of time, they were reimbursed. Then a couple of members needed advances, so they were given an advance. So that way they had that, and then in the end it was just worked out as to what the advance they got with the receipts that they provided. But we did discuss authorizing finance to try to get us a credit card.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what happened with that. I don't know if y'all need to approve that or if Chris just needs to call the bank and try to see about letting us get a credit card for the account, or say a debit card, honestly, not a credit card. That in the future, that can be used to pay for the commissioner's flights and rooms and everything, so we don't need to worry about the reimbursement and such. It just would make it a lot easier rather than having a commissioner, use up their debit card or credit card and then try to get a reimbursement for that before they start getting interest charged on a credit card or something. So I think it would just make everything a whole lot easier if we can get a debit card for the account to use for things like this that come up. And in that way, like, the only thing that the commissioner would have to be reimbursed for would be the expenses that they incur on the trip, such as, maybe Uber, the food, or taxi, parking, like those kind of things. So we did talk about that before. Like I said, I don't know if we need to make a motion to approve it, to move forward with that. But someone who signs on the account probably will have to contact the bank to get that debit card. Okay. Like, it won't be able to be myself or Rhonda in finance.
Yeah, me, or Rachel, or Robbie.
Go ahead.
This when I first came on the commission, that was the issue I raised. I got to pay out of my pocket for when I went to my first conference. I got to buy my own ticket for airlines. I don't fly, but I had to buy it, and then I had to pay for my own lodging. That's burdensome. We know we're going on planning commission business. That is something that a credit card or a debit card, I don't like debit card, ought to be able to take care of ahead of time for those commissioners who are attending those type conferences. So if we haven't made a motion, I'd like to include that suggestion in the motion, that we request that planning, have the ability to get their own credit or debit card, and those reservations for flight and or lodging is taken care of, and not have to produce out-of-pocket money, which sometimes is burdensome. We all are not, have great jobs and a lot of money. The guy on my left might, he's kind of wealthy, but I'm poor, so, I need all the help I can get, all right?
Also, and it could also be used to pay for the conference attending fees and all that stuff. I mean, the more we can, I agree. I mean, the more we can rely on that, the better and the easier.
Easier to track.
Let's just do 3 motions. I think that would be the easiest.
That's what I was fixing to say.
I mean, no particular order.
Okay.
Just remember let's do the first one where that some people can't vote on.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion to go ahead and reimburse the members who traveled for the conference up to the reimbursable, the per diem amount for that city for this conference. Okay. Okay, motion by Mr. Beauregard, second by Mr. Soulier. Any
Yeah,
further
like-
discussion? Yep, see you.
I heard the part about up to the per diem amount. That was the issue that I had with finance. They said I couldn't, well, she was going to approve it for being over the per diem amount because of where I went. So is that going to be a state thing? How does that work?
Okay, hang tight.
I can answer that.
Ms. Becky?
Well, there's some kind of, I don't know remember offhand, but there's some kind of government website that you can go to that has per diem rates per city. You know, because cost of living and rates are different for different cities. You know, California is going to be a lot more than Louisiana. So depending on what city the conference is in, it goes according to that per diem rate. So they're not all the same. So historically, that's what I always used to help the commissioners turn in their expense reimbursement forms. I would go to that chart and see what city they went to for the conference, and that would be the per diem amount that was given to that commissioner. And then it was just, we gave the whole per diem amount and just based it off of if it was a partial day or a full day. So like if you left Houma, you know, around noon, you know, to go to the conference, you wouldn't be eligible for a whole day of per diem, just a partial day. But it would be based on that partial rate of that city that the conference was held in.
Which was San Diego,
Right,
California.
yeah. Where a smile costs you $10, huh?
It'll be covered.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed?
And let's note the recusals.
Okay,
Or
we have abstained from Reverend Gray, Rachel, and Mr. Smith.
Wait, just so we're
Oh.
clear. I mean, I didn't hear any nays, but
Oh, they
Just-
said they abstained.
yes, there were no nays, just to be clear, because, okay.
Okay, 3 abstentions.
Because if one person nayed, we're, in trouble.
That motion was to reimburse those commissioners
Yes,
the
Correct.
entire per diem rate.
yeah.
Correct.
Maximum allowed, yes.
Okay. Next motion is to have legal draft up travel expenses similar to what the council uses. A policy based on similar to the parish council. And have that presented for us at the next meeting. Okay? And we had a motion, I think it was by Mr. Beauregard, I think, and second by?
No,
Okay.
yeah, no one needed yet.
Okay, so motion by Mr. Beauregard, second by Mr. Smith. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Third motion that was requested is to get a debit or credit card in order to purchase. Okay, well, either, whatever's gonna be the most convenient, I guess, is.
Whoever makes a motion.
Okay. And that would be to pay for fees, hotels, and airline travel. The rest.
Airline, train,
Yeah,
bus,
any type of transportation. Something you can book ahead of time.
boat.
Something you can book ahead of time.
Right, because we should clarify that it won't be used for or by a commissioner to take with them on the trip.
So pre-travel expenses.
Once they get on that trip, then
Pre-travel.
Booking, yeah.
Right.
Pre-travel and booking.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Hotel, whether transportation, and conference fees. That's what it'll be used for.
Pretty
Right.
much, yes.
Okay, so I need a
Flight,
motion. I need a motion for that.
Travel, hotel, conference
Okay.
fees.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms. Eleanor, second by Reverend Gray, to get the debit or credit card, whatever's gonna be the most convenient. Any other discussion?
Second.
Oh, I had a second. Got a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, and then one other item, it's not on the agenda, but it was requested at the last meeting that we prepare a draft resolution for the planning commission requesting that the parish president and the parish council consider moving forward with the community parish-wide community sewer service. I looked at the Vision 2030 Comprehensive Master Plan, and there were two goals, Goal 5 and Goal 6, that indicate that is one of the goals and objectives of that plan. So I put that in the resolution. This is a draft. What I'd like for you guys to do is just over the next month, take a look at that. If you have any comments or tweaks or whatever, send those to me. I emailed it out to everybody this afternoon, and then we can put it on the agenda for the August 18th meeting, and if everybody's in favor of it, we can send it on to the parish president and council.
Okay. Mr. Thibodeau.
Yeah, I just want to thank the director and staff for putting it together, the draft together. And I would encourage commissioners to take a look at it and give you input if you have any. And look forward to it being a formal agenda item on August 18th meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Administrative approvals.
I'll make a motion that we approve all the administrative approvals.
Have a motion by Ms. Ellender, second by Mr. Soulier. The administrative approvals. Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed. Motion carries. Committee reports?
We did meet.
None? Okay. Commissioners' comments? Anybody has any comment? Okay. Sure.
Did we post or do we have to post a sign for the zoning change over in that? I went in yesterday. I didn't see.
We will 10 days before the, at a minimum of 10 days before the hearing.
Okay.
So we haven't sent out the notices. We have to wait until the public hearing has actually been
Which we
called,
did tonight.
so we know the date to put on, date and time and location to put on that public notice that
And
goes
we
out.
will erect a sign too there.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Anybody from the public? Second call, public. Third and final call, public.
Motion to adjourn?
Have a motion to adjourn by Mr. Thibodeau, second by Reverend Gray. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.